Good afternoon, trading world. It is September 28, 2022, and this is, I guess I should say, aftermarket, or doing the pre-market in the aftermarket. This is my technical analysis for day trading the markets. I wanted to get ahead of things since I had some difficulties this morning, scheduling wise and technical, starting to deal with some programmers in a very different time zone and things running over. But into the pre-market we go. I touched on the hot topic in yesterday's pre-market. The currency crisis seemed to be all over CNBC this morning. I said they were going to step in and do some type of currency manipulation soon, which was the reason I stepped in and went long the FXE in a bull call spread, because there is no direct way to short the dollar anymore. We have been building a bullish divergence for a while, as I talked about in the pre-market on September 26. The weekly pre-market at the beginning of the week was bullish, closing above the 367.95. However, it's not going to be easy. I expect just a little more up movement into a sideways movement going into midday tomorrow, where we get a good pullback that will go over into Friday's pre-market. From there, we will have a much larger bullish move on Friday. The larger time frames are in play from here: the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly. Again, stay on Apple Watch. The reason why Apple is so important is that it is probably the most common allocation in portfolios and maybe one of the largest holdings in most portfolios. If the market is going to take a bigger dive from here, meaning possibly next week, Apple has to lead the market down. We will see where the technicals lay on Friday. Now, let's get into the key levels for tomorrow. All right, here we are back with the key levels for tomorrow's trading session. Starting on the resistance side, we have our jack resistance at the 371 to the 372 area. Then we have our queen resistance at the 373 to the 374 area. Then we have our king resistance 375 to the 379 area. On the support side, we have our jack support at 368 to the 367 area. Our queen support 366 to the 365 area. And then king support 364 to the 356 area. The main thesis for tomorrow is bearish, closing below the 370.53 with a projected target low of between 369 and 358. The alternate thesis is bullish, closing above the 370.53 with a projected target high of between 371 and 379. The current major channel we are in is 364 all the way up to 379. The major channel below is 364 down to what was it here? 3 353. Sorry about that. Down to 353. We have a huge order flow imbalance below that will play out later in the day. Continue to be on Apple Watch and try to use the 4-hour chart on the SPY for major decisions. From here, let's get to the scenarios of the day. All right, here we are with our first scenario and most probable scenario, which is going to be our rounded reversal day type structure. We could get a continued push higher toward the Jack or Queen resistance area and find midday chop around either the Queen or King resistance before spending the same energy we use going up to come back down the second half of the day. That is our rounded reversal day type structure. The key to the rounded reversal day type structure, whatever it is that you follow, whether it's an indicator or market strength, you're going to get a divergence pretty early in the day. Whereas price action continues to move up, look for a divergence ever so slightly in the indicator early in the day that won't catch up to price action until later in the day, whether it's right after lunch or somewhere in the second half of the day. That divergence should start to catch up. Scenario number 2 is going to be our expanded range day structure. We could have an initial push higher or an initial pop up, find resistance and chop back and forth, set the upward boundary, and then chop lower on the day and continue to fade into the close. So that's going to be our expanded range day. The key to the expanded range day: this blue line represents the previous close, and in any range day scenario it revolves around that previous close, where we will probably close above and below it at some point. Bollinger Bands are going to be great for a day like this because those kind of predict or kind of shadow that boundary or that upward or lower boundary. So follow your indicators into that Bollinger Band, and that will give you a better handle on the range days. And here we are with the last scenario, which is going to be our trend day down. It's the least probable of the scenarios, but if we do get a trend day down, we start with a gap down. And let me correct this. Alright, that's better. We found our trend day down. We start with a gap down, and then at the cash open we start with the pop back up toward that previous close represented by the blue line. We find resistance on or before that previous close, then begin the downtrend for the day. We find our midday chop around either the possible Queen or King support area. Usually on trend days, we will usually get that head fake lower right after the lunch or midday chop, and then at some point right at the closing or before the closing, we get that kind of rally going into the close. It's going to be interesting to see how much of a rally or how much not of a rally we will have going into tomorrow's close, because I do expect a lot to happen on the overnight session between Thursday and Friday morning. And from there, we will determine how much of a bullish move we get on Friday. As always, your most important job as a trader is to protect the capital that you already have. We do that by understanding and knowing the risk that we have in each position, and we manage that risk in accordance to our account size. With that being said, as always, wishing you a positive trading day. Have a great one.